Or Section 509A3, Organization 509A3 excludes the definition of the foundation of those organizations that may meet all the following requirements. The organization must operate exclusively on the benefit of the performing the function to carry out the purpose of the one more specified organization described in 509A1 and 509A2. The second 509A1 and 509A2 of the organization are commonly called publicly supported organizations. The organization of the one of the three types of relationship with one or more organization described in Section 509A1 and 509A2, but it must be operated, supervised, controlled by one or more of the sections of the 509A1, 509A2 organization. Type 1, the supporting organization. Support supervised control of the connection with one or more section of 509A1, 509A2 organization. Type 2, supporting organization. Operation connection with one or more section of the 509A1, 509A2 organization. Type 3, supporting organization. The organization must then be controlled directly and indirectly. Disqualified person defined later other than foundation manager other than one or more organization described in section 509A1 and 509A2. Section 509A3 to defer for the other provision of Section 509 describe the publicly supported organization. Instead of describing the organization conduct with a particular kind of the to be receive the financial support of the general public. 509A describes the organization that establishes certain relationship with the support with the 509A and the 509A2 organization. The organization qualifies other than the private foundation, even though they be funded with the single donor family corporation. Example with a certain exemption describe the organization controlled by the donors later the kind of the would indicate the private foundation status. But in Section 509A3, the organization has limited purpose activity given upon of significant degree of independence. More than one type of the relationship that may exist with the supporting organization, publicly supported organization, and relationship that help ensure the supporting the organization will be responsible for the needs, the demands, that will be integral part of the maintained significant involvement in the operations of one or more publicly supported organizations. Type 1, Type 2 in relationships with the majority of the controlling and governing by the supporting organization, publicly supported organization that may be the same. The rules meeting the test under the requirements of 1 discussed in category 1 below. The operated connection of the relationships requires the supporting organization represented by the operational relationship with the publicly supported organization. The third relationship with the different rules meeting the requirement testing and discussed and separately with the category 2 later. Supported organizations. Supported organizations described in Section 509A and 509A2 for the benefit of the supporting organization organized operated with the Section 501C4, C4, C5, and C6 organization that would be described in Section 509A2, and whether the 501c organization may be treated with 509A2. The organization purpose of the rule, therefore, may be the support of the organization subject to certain restrictions such as C support rather than secondary 501c organization later. Alright, organization controlled by the donors. General, the type of the 1, type of the 3, support organization controlled by the donor, supporting organization treated with the private foundation rather than as a public charity. Type 1, type 3, its organization may not accept any gift or contribution from any or person other organization described in Section 509A1 and A1, 2, and 4 when controlled directly and indirectly alone with together with a person less than 2 or 3 below the governing body with the support of the organization, family member of the person described as 1 above, or 35% with controlled ethnicity. Or category 1, type 1, and type 2 support organization. The category includes the organization either with the operated, supported, supervised, controlled with the type 1, supervised, controlled in connection with the type 2 the organization. Description of the 509A1 and 509A2, which can be either domestic form of the kind of the organization, the governing body, but they include the majority of the members elected to the point of the one or more public supported organization. Type 1 of the type to consider the same person the control of the manager of the publicly supported organization. Type 2, if an organization qualifies under this category, they may also meet with the organization test. Operational testing must and can be controlled with a disqualified person. These requirements are covered later in the discussion. Type 1, operated, supervised, controlled by the Type 1 relationship with the presupposed substantial degree of direction over the policy and programs, the activity support organization, supported organization's relations by the supported organization relationship required with the comparable to parent and subsidiary, which subsidiary is under the direction of the accountability responsible parent organization. The relationship is typically established when the support organization may regularly appoint the elected majority of the directors of the trustee and supporting organization. Alright, type 2, supervised controlled connection with an organization with a supervised controlled connection with one of the more section 509A, 509A2, the organization. Type 2, supporting an organization that will control management. The supporting organization may be vested in the same person that controls the management publicly of support of the organization in order for the organization to be supervised and controlled with the connection with the support of the organization. Common supervision controlled by the person supervising and controlling both organizations must exist and ensure that the supporting organization responsible for the needs and requirements of the support of the organization relationship that typically established for the majority of the directors, trustees supporting this organization and serve as the directors, trustees, and more supported organizations. Organization operational testing. Like all supporting organizations, the Type 1 and Type 2 supporting organization must be organized and operated exclusively for the purposes set forth the requirements. Beginning with the section, organization fails to meet either the organizational operational testing can be qualified as supporting organization. It can qualify as a supporting organization. Organizational test. An organization organized exclusively one or more the purpose of the specified requirement of one of the articles of the organization. Limited for the purpose of the organization, one or more of those purposes that do not explicitly empower the organization and engage the activities that aren't furtherance of the purpose specified explained later on the specified organization, publicly supported organization whose behalf of the organization is operated, do not expressly empower the organization to operate the support the benefit of the organization other than those ones specified in item 3. And meeting with the organizational test, the organization purpose is safe of the articles and can be brought as more of the specific than the purpose sent forth in the requirement 1 at the beginning with this discussion, section 509A3 organization. Therefore, the organization by the terms of the articles is formed with the benefit of one or more specified public support of the organization with otherwise meet with the other requirements that consider to have to meet the organizational testing. For example, the article stating that the organization formed the publishing function of the specified university enough to comply with the organizational testing. Type 1 and Type 2 supported organization meet that these requirements for the purpose set forth in the articles are similar to the non-broader but not broader for the purpose for the set forth articles in controlling organization. However, the Type 1 and Type 2 supporting organization that supports the publicly supported 501c4, 501c5, and 501c6 organizations support other than Section 501c3 organization later meet the requirements of the articles required to carry on the charitable, etc. activities within the meaning of the Section 170c2. Limits an organization organized with exclusive for the purpose specified with the requirements of 1. The articles expressly permit the operating support for the benefit of the organization other than specified publicly supported the organization. They won't meet the organizational was status for even though the actual operation for the organization has been exclusively benefited the specified publicly supported the organization. Specified organization. All supporting organization may ensure that the supported organization as specified in these articles. However, the Type 1 and Type 2 of the supporting organization have greater flexibility regarding whether supported organization may be specified. Type 1 and Type 2 supporting organization may specify the supported organization by name, class, purpose, designation, manners, sufficient identify the support organization, demonstrate that the supporting organization the support organization have the historic and continuous relationship because of the ways in which of the substantially identified interest that develop in between among the organization. Our Type 1 and Type 2 supporting organization may also permit substitution of one publicly supported organization when the designated class for another publicly supported other organization is the same the different class designated for the articles. Permit the supporting organization to operate for the benefit of the new additional publicly supported organization with the same the different class designated for the article. Permit the supporting organization to verify amount of the support among the different publicly supported organization with the class of the organization designated for the articles. See also the rules considered with the organizational test, the later discussion of organization of the category 2 type 3 supporting organization. Operational test, permissible benefit. The supporting organization must engage solely in activities supporting with the benefit specified by the supported organization. The activities may include the banking, the payments for the to and or for the use of the providing services of the faculty, the individual member of the charitable class for the benefit of the supported organization. For example, the supporting organization may pay indirectly through another unrelated organization a member of the charitable class benefit of the specified publicly supported organization, but only if payment is granted to the individual rather than the grant to the organization. Similarly, the supporting organization may support the benefit action of 501c3 organization other than private foundation operated with the supervised control directly of the or in connection by the supported organization. However, the supporting organization activities may not further purpose than supporting benefit of the supported organization. Operational tests, permissible activities. Supporting organization may be the payment of the supported organization to the permissible beneficiary may care of the independent activity program to support the benefit of the supported organization. All such support, however, must be limited to permissible beneficiaries described earlier. And supporting the organization also may engage the fundraising activities such as solicitation, fundraising dinners, unrelated trade and business, raise fund, and supported organization permissible beneficiaries. Or absence of the control of disqualified person. The third requirement that the organization must meet the qualified supporting organization requires the organization must not control directly and indirectly by one or more disqualified person other than foundation manager than one more public supported organization. Alright. Or disqualified person. For the purpose of the rules discussed in the publication, the following persons are considered disqualified. Person, a substantial contributor for the foundation manager of the foundation, All foundation managers of the foundation own with more than 20% of the total combined voting power of the corporation during successful ownership. Substantial contributor with the foundation, the profit interest of the partnership that is during the successful ownership. The substantial contributor is the foundation is contributor to the foundation. The benefit of the interest of the trust and unincorporated enterprise is during the such ownership the substantial contributor of the foundation. A member of the family or any of the individuals just listed. A corporation which more than 35% of the total combined voting power is owned by the person just listed. Partnership with more than 35%. A corporation with more than 35% of the total combined voting power is owned by the person just listed. Partnership with which must be more than 35% of the profits interested and owned by the person described in 1, 2, 3, and 4. Civil trust estate, which are more than 35% of the benefit interest owned by the person described in 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember, however, the foundation manager, the publicly supported organization, or a disqualified person for the purpose of the control requirement, the person is a disqualified person with respect to supporting organizations of the substantial corporate contributor is supporting the designation founding manager of the supporting organization to serve as the representative of the person still disqualified, and an organization considered with the control of the purpose of the disqualified person for the combining of the votes of the position of authority can require organization to perform any act of the significant acts for the operation for the prevent the organization from performing the act that includes isn't limited to the right of any of the substantial contributor of the spouse to designate actually a recipient of among the supporter organization of the income of his or her contribution. Exempt explained with the proof of the independent control next to support organization will be considered to be controlled directly and indirectly one or more disqualified person with the voting power with at least person 50% of the more total voting power organization governing body with one with the person the right to exercise the veto power of the elections of the organization. Thus, governing the body of the foundation composed of 5 trustees, no more than will have the voting power over the action of the foundation. No more than 2 trustees at any time. The disqualified person of the foundation is then considered controlled just directly and indirectly by one of the most disqualified person by the reason of the facts alone. However, all the predicate fact of the circumstances include the nature of the diversity and incoming yield of the organization holding the length of the time, particular stock securities, other assets retained, and many of the exercising voting rights with respect to the stocks. Members of the governing body also have some interest in considerable determination with the disqualified person, in fact, indirectly control organization. Alright, proof of independent control. The organization permanently established satisfactory with the matter that the disqualified person does not directly and indirectly control it. For example, if the case of the religious organization operated in conjunction with the church, then in fact, for the majority of the organization governing body composed of the person who are substantially contributed to the organization, who don't disqualify the organization under Section 509A3, if the representative of the church, such as the bishop, other officials have the control over the policy of the decision of the organization. Category 2, Type 3 supporting organization. The category includes the organization operated with the connection with one or more organizations described in Section 509A and 509A2. All supporting organizations must be responsive to the need, the demand, the most constitute the integral part of the maintained significant involvement in the support of the organization. Type 1 and 2 to the support organization deemed to accomplish with these responsive and integral part of the requirements of virtue of the control relationships discussed earlier. However, the Type 3 supporting organization is subject to the same level of control and support of organization. Therefore, Type 3 supporting organization must pass a separate responsive integral part of the test in addition with the organizational operational testing applicable to all the support organization. Type 3 supporting the organization must be controlled with the disqualified person described earlier. Any may not receive the contribution with the certain control donors. See contribution for the controlling donors later. If they, in addition with the Type 3 supporting the organization, may not support any organization not organized in the United States. Alright, functional integration. The Type 3 support organization may be functional integration, non-functional integrated, or non-functionally integrated, depending on the manner of which the meet for the integral test, the integral part test, the functional integration, integral part test, non-functional integral. It is part later. The Type 3 functional integrated support organization are subject to fewer restrictions and requirements of Type 3 of the non-functional integrated support organization, particularly distribution of the foundation of the Type 3 of the non-functional integration support organization are qualified distribution purposes to satisfy the private foundation required annual distributions under Section 494-42 may be taxed with expenditure with Section 494, 49-45. Alright, your organizational test. The organizational test Type 3 of the support organization are generally the same as the Type 1 and 2. Support organizations described earlier, however, the Type 3 support organization are more limited regardless of how they are supported. Organization must specify in the articles. Type 3 supporting organization articles must be specified. The supported organization by the name of the organization must demonstrate the supporting organization and the support organization have the historic and continuing relationship because of the substantial identity of the interest that has been developed between them among the organization class for the purpose of designation does not satisfy organizational testing for Type 3 supporting organization. However, the Type 3 supporting organization articles may 1. Permit publicly supported organization to designate the class for the purpose of rather than the name. The substitute for the publicly supported organization. Organization is designated with the name and an article about only if the substitution condition upon the occurrence of the event with the beyond the control of the supporting organization, such as the loss of exemption with the substantial failure of the abandonment of the operation of the dissolution of the organization designed for in the articles. Alright, 2. Permit the supporting organization operating for the benefit of the operation of the inspector and isn't publicly supportive of the organization only if the support permitting the supportive organization operating for the benefit of the organization that is not a publicly supported organization, but only supporting organization currently operating the benefit of the publicly supported organization, benefit of a publicity supported organization with the possibility of the operating the benefit other than publicly supported organization is remote. Alright, permitting the support of the organization vary with the amount of the support between the difference of the designated organization along with the means requirements of the integral part of the test described later. With respect to all these one beneficiary organization, if the remote possibility referred into comes to pass, the supporting organization thereafter comes after the benefit of the organization that isn't publicly supported organization, it will no longer qualify under Section 509A3. Operational tests. The operational rule described earlier in Type 1 and Type 2 for supporting our organization apply as well as Type 3 support organization. Operational testing and permissible beneficiary. Operational tests permissible activities earlier. In addition to Type 3, the supporting organization must operate in a manner consistent with the requirements of the responsive test and integral part of the discussed later. Or responsive test. The Type 3 supported organization must represent the needs and demands of the supported organization to meet the test of the supported organization. Must like one more with the officer director of the trustee, have one with the officer director of the trustees for supported organization serving the simultaneously as officer director trustee supporting organization. 3. Maintain a close continuing working relationship with the officer director trusteeship supporting organization. In addition with the relationship of representation, close work with the relationship supported organization must have a significant voice and investment policy of the supporting organization and timely grants the manner of making them selecting with the recipient in general for the using income assets for the supporting organization. Notification requirement. In each of the year of the Type 3 supporting organization must notify each of the supported supported organization support provided with a copy of the supporting organization must be recently filed with the 990 or 990 EZ copy of the amendments to the article of bylaws and governing documents. Integral part of functional integration Type 3 with supporting organization must satisfy the integral part of the functional integrated one of 3 ways. Engage activities substantial of the directly further exempt purposes of the supporting organization which put the supporting organization involved in the supported organization would normally engage in. Being the parent of the appointment of the majority of the director of the trustees, exercising the substantial degree of direction over the publicity policy of the program's activity of the supported organization. Or supporting the government entity. Direction further activity for the purpose of testing test of item 1 the activity directly further the support of the organization exempt purpose only conduct the supporting activity supporting organization itself directly and further activity including the holding the title managing exempt use of assets non-funding raising investment managing non-assessment exempt use assets grant must qualify the direct furtherance activity requirements of regulation section 1509A 4142 and D are met. Or the integral part test, non-functional integrated, and testing a Type 3 support and organization does not satisfy the integral part test function. If the Type 3 support organization does not satisfy the integral part test function, the ally integrated will qualify the Type 3 non-functional integrated support organization and satisfy the distribution requirement and the attentiveness requirement that alternately certain trusts established with the number of November 20th, 1970 must qualify to meet the requirements of the regulation, section 1509A 4151 and 9, and the distribution requirement Type 3 non-functional integrated support organizations to distribute a certain amount of the annually to for the benefit of the support organization the amount of the equal greater than 85% ag organizational adjusted net income 35% of the fair market value of the organization non-exempt to use assessed with a certain adjustment to see the regulation section 105.9 1.509A through 4, 1, 5, and 8 for information regarding the distribution requirement, the value of the evaluation of the non-exempt use of the assets regulation, section 10509A 4, 1, 6 for more information regarding the distribution expenditure account towards the distribution requirements. Or the tentative requirement. Each for the year of the Type 3 non-functional integrated support organization must distribute one-third or more amount distributed for the year with one more support organization that are attentive of the operation supporting organization, which the support organization representative of the support organization attentive for these purposes the amount received the support organization for the support organization at least equals at least 10% of the support organization total support for the year of the question was necessary to avoid interruption of the particular function activity of the support organization was based on all facts circumstances including evidence actual effectiveness and the sufficient part of the support of the organization total support ensuring activities ensuring attentiveness or supporting other than Section 501c3 organization operated with the conjunction of the social welfare organization, agricultural organization, business league of the chamber, the Commerce, or other organizations described in Section 501c3 or 4 and 501c5 or 501c6 may qualify as a supporting organization under Section 509a3, therefore not classified with the providing foundation, but both following conditions are met. The supporting organization must meet all the requirements previously specified with the organizational testing operational test one of the relationship of the test and not the control of the disqualified person. The Section 501c4, the 501c5, 501c6 organization described in Section 509a2 of the charitable organization described in Section 501c3. The provision allows separate charitable foundations or non-charitable organizations to be described in Section 509a3. If not charitable organization receive their support otherwise operated with the manner specified in 509a2. Or special rules and interpretation to determine whether the organization meets not more than one-third of support in Section 509A, 509A2, the amounts received by the organization form an organization that seeks the Section 509A3 organization becomes the support of the organization deemed the growth of the investment income rather than gift the contribution extent that the gross investment in incoming distribution organization. The rule applied with the amount received the charitable trust, the corporation, fund, the association, similar organization required in its government and institution otherwise distributed with the normally those distribute at least 25% adjusted net income of the organization who the distribution normally compromises at least 5% is adjusted net income all income the gross investment income of the distribution organization will consider distributed first for the organization. If the support organization make the distribution to make more than one organization the amount of the gross investment considered distributed will be prorated among the distributees. Also, treatments paid by the organization provide the service facility for the direct benefit of the organization seeking Section 509.2, rather than direct benefit of the general public. In the same manner, the amount received the latter organization, the amount will be treated with the gross investment income to the extent that their gross investment income organization spending the amount of the organization seeking Section 509A2, the status must file a separate statement of the annual information return Form 990 EZ, listing all the amounts received of the supporting organizations. Or relationship created with the advance for purpose. The relationship between the organization seeking the 509A3 status of the organization seeking the Section 509A2 status establishment using to avoid classification of private foundation with respect to either the organization, character, or amount of the support received in the 509A3 or organization will be attributed with the Section 509A2 organization purpose of determining whether later mates for the support. It says under Section 509A2 the type of the relationship established for the use of any of the organizations seeking 509A3 status or two more organizations seeking 509A2 status amount of the characters of the support received by the former organization be prorated among the latter organization. Determining whether the relationship exists between the organization seeking 509A3 status and supporting organization, one or more of the organizations seeking 509A status benefiting the organization for the purpose of avoiding the private foundation status. All pertinent in fact for the circumstance will take into account the following facts may be used as evidence for such a relationship wasn't established or avoid classification as a private foundation. Or the support organization operated with support benefits several specified beneficial organizations. Beneficial organization has a substantial number of the due-paying members with effective voice for the management of both supporting and the beneficiary organization. Beneficiary organizations compose several membership of the organization. Each of the membership has a substantial number of the membership of the membership. Organization have an effective voice in the management of the supporting the beneficiary organization. Beneficiary organization receives a substantial amount of the support from the general public charities, government, and grants. Supporting organization use the funds to carry out meaningful program activities to support the benefit of the beneficiary organization. Supporting organization with a private foundation. This use will be sufficient to avoid imposition on tax and failure to distribute income. The operation of the beneficiary or the supporting organization are managed with different person. Each of the organization performs a different function. The supporting organization is able to exist in substantial control of the influence over the beneficiary organization because the beneficiary organization receives the support holds assets with disproportionately large in comparison with the support received assets held by the supporting organization. Effective on 509A3 organization. If the beneficiary organization fails to meet either of the support tests of Section 509A2 due to this provision, the beneficiary organization, one of whose support the organization seeking Section 509A3 status is operated, then the supporting organization won't be considered to be operated exclusively to support or benefit one or more of the 509A or 509A2 organization. Therefore, it wouldn't qualify for 509A3 status. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Request to change the public charity classification. Section 501 to the tax exemption, seeking the change of the public charity classification from the Section 509A3 supporting the organization 509A1 and A2. The organization must file with the 8940 request for the miscellaneous determination. See the instruction form of the 894 of the more information regarding support material applicable to users' fees. For more information about applying Section 501 to the C3 status life cycle of the private foundation at irs.gov. Classification under Section 509A. If the organization described in Section 509A1 is also described in either Section 509A2 or Section 509A3, it will be treated as a Section 509A1 organization. The organization should file for the 8940 with the request of the miscellaneous determination. It will wish to receive a letter showing the change in classification. Reliance grantors and contributors, once an organization has received the ruling, the determination later classifying in its organization described in Section 509A1, 509A2, Section 509A3. Treatment of the grants contributors, staff of the grant, and contributors of the organization will generally not be affected for the reason by a later revocation of the IRS organization classification until the day of the notice for the change of the status made publicly, generally publication, Internal Revenue Bill, bulletin, and other applicable date, if any of the specified in public notice appropriate case, however, the treatment of the grants and contribution of the staff of the grantors of the contribution organized described in Section 509A, 1509A2, and 509A3 may be affected depending on the verification for the continuing classification organization. Notice of the effect will be made with the public announcement by the IRS. In this case, the effect of the grant contribution made after the date of the announcement, depending on the statutory qualification organization as an organization described in Section 509A1, Section 509A2, and 509A3. Our preceding paragraph should not be applied with the grantor or contributor. Handling now of the revocation ruling determined later of the classifying organization as organizational described in Section 509A, 509A2, 509A3 was in part responsible for and was aware of the act of failure to act and submit substantial material change on the part of the organization that gave the rise to the revocation. Over interim guidance for the support organization and grantors. Notice in 2004 it provided the further interim the guidance of Section 509A3 of the supporting organization. The grantors about application certain of the requirements of as entitled the person for part of the Pension Protection Act of 2006. The notice provides the transition rule of the Type 3 supporting organization that want to qualify as a functionally integrated because they support governmental entities. The notice would also provide additional interim guidance for the private foundation sponsoring organization that maintain donor or advised funds of the proceeding procedure to follow to determine whether the potential grantee of the Type 1, Type 2 functionally integrated with the Type 3 supporting organization. See notice 2004 2014-4. 2014-2 IRB 274 extended describing the preamble of 2015 financial regulation regarding the distribution from the non-functional integrated type of the 3 supporting organization TD 9746. Section 509A for organizations.